Friends, yesterday only the news came about the judgment of Supreme Court about the sub-classification of SCs and STs, and it has been covered by almost all newspapers. But ironically, in the name of STs and STs, only SCs have been covered. Why? Because they matter politically, or because the readership of these newspapers belongs to SCs, or because SCs do not matter at the national stage. I would have been more concerned with the STs because I've been associated with STs, say in Uttarakhand, Bhotiyas and Rajis, in Jharkhand, Birhor, and some communities in Chhattisgarh. But I do not find any reference. I would be more interested in PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. They are the most vulnerable, and the court must have said something about, but I do not find any reference to that in the newspapers. Even about STs, I don't know why it's the case, but still the issue is sub-classification. Let me start. I have this with me, the Indian Express, that explained page that is there, because everywhere else it is the news only. It first starts about the 7-judge bench for sub-classification. Then it talks about a bit of history. You had reservation in Andhra Pradesh and then reservation in Punjab that were cancelled by the Supreme Court. And finally, it comes to the issue. What are the issues concerned in that? But before that, it also explains that who are the SCs. It talks about Article 341(1), but it totally ignores Article 366(24). Another thing is, in the Constitution, it is written, if we combine the two, the President of India, as directed in Article 366(24), can declare any community, community means caste, class or race, under Article 341(1) as scheduled caste. I think the terminology itself is outdated. It says caste. Caste is not an Indian word. Caste is alien to us. It says tribe. If tribes have to be declared SCs, then why do we have the category of STs? And race? Anthropologists rejected this concept of race long back in 1970s. If you are aware about the UNESCO Statement on Race 1964, they rejected it. In 1982, Wesley Montagu wrote a book saying race is man's most dangerous myth. But anyway, Constitution is Constitution. They never thought about. Maybe in future they do. They may change the terminology, but it hardly matters. This express, it raises, there are 4 issues concerned. It says, first issue is, are all castes in SC list to be treated similarly? Article 341(2) states that only Parliament can include. Now, this SCs, they were declared as a community in the 1931 census. And next year in Pune Pact, it was agreed that only with the consent of the SCs, the list would be added or deleted, whatever names are there. But in your Constitution, states that only Parliament can include or exclude any caste, race or tribe from the list of SCs. Include or exclude, ironically till date, in any list, SC or ST or OBC, I do not find anyone once included has been excluded, though the terms and conditions may not suit. It has all been politically motivated. The court in the Chennai held that is 2005, must be treated identically since the constitution envisages the same benefits for them. They have been considering SCs as a monolith and ST as a monolith. SCs, they are much more diverse than any other group in the country. There are more than 1200 SC communities, and any neighboring communities differ from each other in language, in dress, in appearance, in education, in employment, and number of things, in social factors, economic factors, political factors, everything. But court has been considering them as monoliths. I've been advocating that the legal fraternity right from their law college, they should be taught social sciences, particularly anthropology. They must realize the Indian situation, Indian social system to give any judgments. In this case, the CGI Chandrakoot rejected the premise, stating that the inclusion in the presidential list does not automatically lead to the formation of a uniform and internally homogeneous class which cannot be further classified. This applies to SCs also. This applies to STs also. Not only they are geographically different, you have some people living in the Himalayas, you have living in Chota Nagpur, you are living in Northeast, you are living in the Western desert also, you have in the South, with different ecology, different culture, different language, different economy, everything different from each other. So tribes have never been a monolith also. A scheduled caste is not something that existed before the constitution came into the force and is recognized so that benefits can be provided to the communities in the list. CGI said this legal fiction cannot be stretched to claim that there are no internal differences among SCs. First thing we must realize that who is an SC? The one that is included in the schedule. How it is included? It depends on the center and the states. Obviously, there is no question of their homogeneity. Obviously, they have to be different. Second issue is, can states tinker with or subclassify the presidential list? Article 15.4 says, Article 16.4 gives states the special power to provide reservation of appointments or posts in favor of any backward class of citizens which is not adequately represented in the service in the state. This is very important point. And this adequate representation doesn't mean just the whole number. Say for example, SCs may be represented in very large number in class 4 jobs in the government sector. And if you count them as a whole in the government sector, the number of SCs is quite high. That will be highly prejudiced. So it has to be as per the rank. How many are in the Group A services, Group B services, Group B services, and so on. Yesterday, the majority opinion held that the state in exercise of the power under the Article 15 and 60 is free to identify the different degrees of social backwardness and provide special provisions such as reservation to achieve the specific degrees of harm identified. That's very interesting thing. You do have categorization and subcategorization in the case of BCs in many states. Like in Andhra Pradesh, you have BC1 and BC2. In Bihar, Karpuri Thakur formula was there. You had backwards and you had extremely backwards. But this was never accepted for SCs and STs. And one of the dissenting note also is there that this should not be there. But the court says that things should be taken into account what historical wrong has been done to them. The question is how far you will trace history. All these leftist historians, they claim that for the last 5,000 years, Shudras have been treated animal, but they don't give any references. Uh, R.S. Sharma, D.N. Jha, Romila Thapar, you cannot trust them for what they say because they do not link it to the time through references. Say, for example, if I quote uh, firstly Magasanis, he says that there are 7 types of communities living, and he doesn't find any slaves in the community. R.S. Sharma says slaves were there, but their condition was so good that they could not be identified. I wish everywhere the slaves were like that. In Europe, in England, till 18th century, in Rome, in Greece, here it was not. Even Tuzuke Jahagiri, I think it is page 258, he says that people, talking about Hindus, they are living together in a locality and they are so uh, intertwined with each other that it's very difficult to identify who is who, and all of them are worried about their salvation. As late as 1930, Will Durant, the American historian, came to India and wrote a case for India. He says that caste has never been their case in India. There were professional guilds only. Even the superintendent of 1921 census, Middleton, he writes that for what we criticize Indians is what we have given to them. That is the caste. If we had not imposed it, then many of the surnames like cobbler or goldsmith or ironsmith, they would have died down ultimately with the passage of time. So caste is an alien concept. Tribe also is an alien, but that is not our issue of today's discussion. But they say historically, how old is history? The first reference to atrocities on essays that I could find was Jati Bhed Vivek Sar, a book written in 1861 and again in 65 by Tatya Padwal, and where he says that the Shudras in ancient times, Bolton leg they had to face in their ears and all those things. Before that, there is no reference. What Manu says, chapter 8, 337, 338, it says that if punishment is to be given for any ordinary, compared to any ordinary person, a Shudra must be punished 8 times. And they put a full stop here. Look, this is being done. Complete details is Vaishyas double of that, Kshatriyas double of that, Brahmins double of that, maybe 4 times, maybe 100 times, maybe 32 times. Because higher the social status, greater is the expectation to follow the rules. So anywhere from you try to connect a link. I have videos on Shudras also and women also. What Manu says about. Uh, I'll add to the group in future also. I have I've been making a series. You can say I made 2 videos because that DU debate was there. In DU, they thought of introducing Manu in the law faculty, and because some people tried, they abandoned the idea. So I wish that everybody should read and then discard. The fact is, there were 680 shlokas, 680 in the beginning, and today we have more than 2500, and most of them are interpolations, obviously. So this news that is there, interestingly, those who favor reservation, they are against this judgment, because they say that this will split the unity of SCs and STs. But those who are against, or those who are not a part of this reserved category, they feel happy that something good is being done, because the people who never received any benefits, now they'll come to that. Those who oppose, they say that very few people are there amongst the STs and STs who are well educated and who can reach those posts. If they are put separate, then obviously most others, they cannot reach that post. Already more than 50% of the posts reserved for these categories lie vacant. The number will be much more. Even in the NEET this year, you have 50% reservation. Hardly 9%, I think, people have joined, because the rest didn't have money. So both sides have their arguments. Anyway, then next point that is raised is, what is the yardstick for subclassification? States will have to demonstrate a need for wider protection, bring empirical evidence, and have a reasonable rationale for classifying the subgroups. The reasoning can be further tested in court. This is too difficult to be accomplished. States are not ready for the survey. The center is not ready for the survey. Caste survey they are not having. Census, the official census after 2011, you don't have. At that time, Indian population was about 121 crore. Now it is more than 146. What is the account of those 25 crores that have been added? What has happened to the benefits that accrue to them? Where are the schemes for them? And now Supreme Court says that obviously surveys have to be conducted, economy has to be judged, and one survey has been conducted in Maharashtra about Marathas, and it is seen that Marathas, they are in a very pitiable condition, and it is in today's Hindu. Maratha community has exceptionally backwardness, State Commission tells High Court. The survey was conducted on 1.58 crore households in the state, and it is said that they deserve to be put in the condition of in the OBC category. But the irony is, when for the first time OBC list was being created, Jats of Haryana and Marathas, they were asked whether they want to be included, and with contempt they rejected that we are not backwards. Then now everybody wants to be included. Anyway, fourth point is, does the creamy layer principle apply to scheduled caste? That is an issue raised by Justice Gogoi. But three more judges, Vikramnath, Justice Pankaj Mehta, and Justice Satish Chandra Sharma, they have agreed to this view. But what has happened to the creamy layer otherwise also? Hardly 5 to 6% of the people, they are above the creamy layer. So what is the benefit? But one judgment I want to quote in detail. It is by Justice Pankaj Mittal. He says, he has sharply critical opinion against the broadly caste-based reservation policy in India, as he describes the existing system as a trap that perpetuates division and dependency rather than fostering genuine equality. He says, caste should no longer be the basis for reservation, and that other criteria such as economic status, living conditions, and vocation should be considered instead. is quite a detailed one in Hindustan Times today. Uh, but the issue is that our constitution advocates that we should strive for a casteless society. At the time of independence, we had a reservation for SCs and STs, and thereafter we added OBCs, and then we added EBCs. How many categories we are going to create in reservation? The issue should be whether this model of the reservation uh, can it be justified? Has it stood the test of time? How many more years or decades or centuries will be required so that the objectives of this type of reservation are fulfilled? It's a question that merits discussion. There got to be an open discussion. Nobody says that reservation must not be there, but whether this caste-based model, whether has it served, even if you have creamy layer, even if you have all the posts reserved given to a single group or scattered amongst all the groups, you have 1200 or more scheduled caste communities. How many jobs you have, how much education you have, and what is the standard of primary education and middle school and high school education, everybody knows. And talking about education, they say that British gave us it. I doubt very few would be knowing that in 1820, education rate in India was 98%. Can you believe? There's a book by Mr. Dharampal, who was a follower of Gandhiji, The Beautiful Tree. Gandhiji sent him to England to note down every record available in the government, in museums, in offices, and he noted down in his own handwriting because this facility of photocopy and filming was not there. 23 years. And when he came back and wrote this book, The Beautiful Tree, the British banned. For the first 50 years, Indian governments banned. The book was published in, I think, in 2000. It says 98% literacy in India. Do you think all of them were Brahmins only? And even amongst the teachers, 6 to 47% were Brahmins. The rest belonged to others. And how uh, people became poor educationally and economically, that's a big history, and I have dealt in my book. This is the book, uh, Garud Prakashan, The Truth About Caste. The Hindi version, I think, will be released in a fortnight or so. But I wish, I want reservations, but not the way it is going on. And I have been telling that best way, how can it be? I have been suggesting one way. You have all the right to criticize and give your logic. I want reservation should be restricted to the children who pass from the government schools. Reason? Presently, you have 50% reservation, let it be 50%. Today, you have 30% schools run by the English medium and public and Catholics. 70% are government run schools, but proportion of students is almost equal. Who sends the word to the government schools? Only those who cannot afford. Even a peon in the government servant in Delhi would send his children to public school, given the opportunity, and he does also. So those who are studying in ordinary government schools anywhere in the country, I'm not talking about Navodaya Vidyalayas, are the people who really deserve, and most of them must belong to SCs and STs and OBCs. Creamy layer will be messed out. automatically. You don't have to do it. I know there are no takers today, but if reservation at all, it has to sustain, if it has to be meaningful. And this not only will improve the education of the people about reservation of jobs, it will also improve the quality of government schools. Because once you start doing it, the bureaucracy, the administration, the government will be compelled to improve the quality of government schools. Please think. If you want me to respond again, I'll do. Thank you.